Hello and welcome to another episode of DAWNcast. I'm Di Lee.
And I'm Kathy Ngo.
And today we've got a wonderful friend of mine, Nina Nguyen. For those of you who can't pronounce the Nguyen, it's got the NG in it. You might just say Nguyen.
Yeah, so some people say Nguyen.
Nguyen. That's right.
Because I've got cousins that with the same surname.
Yeah. Hi, Nina. Welcome.
Hi.
So Nina is the founder of a manufacturing business called Pakko. Now, one of the very few women and also a few Asian Australian women in the industry here in Australia. So I'm really proud to have this wonderful friend in that manufacturing world. But also I've often over the years, I have thought that she was a bit mad to go into an industry that she has no knowledge. But she has said in the past, well, I have seen, Di, how you do some crazy things, so I thought I'll do some crazy things myself. So welcome to DAWNcast.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Di.
So first of all, tell us, what does Pakko do?
So Pakko is a cardboard packaging manufacturer. We pretty much specialize in custom packaging, ranging from different box styles, sizes, prints and finishing. So anything that is brand related and you need a box for it, we're the guys to go to.
And you're based in?
We're based in Geebung in Brisbane, so in the heart of the city. Yeah.
Yeah, because so Nina is actually, she grew up here in southwest of Sydney, which is, a very wonderful region community. I'm very proud to call that that's where I came from, but that's where she grew up in, and her family also. But they've now
You moved up.
Yeah.
And we're not allowed in your state anymore.
Yeah, that's true too.
How does it feel to be kind of separated?
It was very tough to start off with because, I went to school at Fairfield West Public. My high school was Westfield Sports High School. Friends, family, everyone was there, and for me to make that move, it was a big leap for me, but it was, I guess there's a bigger dream for me that I had to chase and, move to Brisbane for it.
Mm. So what dream was it? Was it to run your business right now?
Yeah, so Pakko didn't start for me because of, I didn't move because of Pakko. I actually moved because I wanted to venture into farming, which is really odd. My parents are farmers and they moved to Brisbane in 2009 and they pretty much went on holidays, never came back and said, hey, send up our furniture, we're going to stay here. And I'm like, you're mad. Who does that? So they've been really successful in what they've been doing. And they said, look, it's an industry that you can innovate. It's an industry that you can try and improve on because, as you know, farming is very laborious. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but it's a lot of generation passed down. So you don't know anything outside of what you already know from your parents that hands it over to you. So from an outside perspective, I was like, oh, maybe this is a great opportunity for me. And that's what I did.
So were your parents farmers back in Vietnam, or did they have family members in the industry?
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents were farmers, yeah.
So what was your motivation, or what fueled you to start Pakko?
Well, my journey in packaging started in 2011, so 9 years ago, because my parents are farmers. They had some sort of a issue around produce packaging, and as some may know, farming is very, very hard. It's very dependent and reliant on the weather conditions. So you often pray for rain and then you often pray for the sun, and there's a lot of environmental factors that come into play. So the hard thing for them was seeing their hard work being damaged by transportation. And this came about from produce packaging. The boxes weren't sturdy enough, they're not moisture resistant, they can't handle pressure. So my parents were like, we need help, like the box grades that we're getting at the moment, it's not sturdy enough, it can't sustain our produce. And they were getting really less pay because they were getting damaged by the time it gets to, just say, Flemington or Melbourne markets. The agent will look at it and goes, well, this isn't fresh, A-grade produce. We're going to give you this much money for it. So my parents, working so hard, they go, we can't afford to keep losing out. So can you help us? And, as a good daughter, I said, yeah, sure, I'll look into it. And the first thing that came to my mind was importing. As you would, you're going to importing, and that's how pretty much the Boxco started. From an idea that my parents gave me, I said, yeah, let's do packaging. It's easy. How hard can it be? But, it was a really tough time for me. Importing, as you know, there's language barriers because you're dealing with overseas. There's the currency, you're buying in US dollar. Manufacturers over-promising and under-delivering. They give you samples to sign off on, and the production that they supply you, it's not the same. It's completely different. So for me, I was like, okay, well, I got myself into this. How am I going to do it better? What can I do to help my parents? So, I knew that it wasn't going to be easy to start off with, but I had accepted that, and I continued, going along with it. And yeah, by the end of a couple of years, I realized that, this needs to change, because I had no control over the manufacturers. I had no control over the currency fluctuation. Customs was really tough. Like, there was ongoing battles and issues. The lead time was 6 to 8 weeks. And there was nothing that I can control. I was the person on the other side of the world, and I was saying, I need this, and I just had to go by what they say. So for me, I made some serious changes, and I said, I want to start my own manufacturing business.
Yes.
I'm sure there are other people who are in this same scenario who's trying to import, but they're going through the same thing.
I remember when Nina said to me, Di, I think I'm going to buy a manufacturing company. I said, what? Yeah, I think I'm going to manufacture boxes here in Sydney or in Australia. I've got to find a place where I'm going to manufacture. I said, so what experience have you got in manufacturing? Do you remember having that conversation?
Yeah.
Well, isn't it just pressing buttons?
And she said, she goes, I've got no experience, but I'm sure you did the things that you did in politics. So I'm sure I can do this. I said, it's manufacturing.
And it's again a lot of buttons, like Homer Simpson, Yeah,
that's right.
But it's that's the entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like, you just give it a go. You either sink or you swim, and then. But I guess hearing from your story, it's that kind of burning desire to help your parents, and it just. Like, I can just imagine the disappointment in your parents' face, because I can picture my parents as well as, the anger, or they must feel like when it's just they've worked so hard for this produce, and then when it gets to Flemington, it's just it's different. It's just things that you don't have control over, like the transportation. So, yeah. And so how many years have you been producing boxes now?
So for Pakko, I started in November 2017, so almost 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
Wow.
It's been an incredible journey.
How much do you think of your upbringing, your cultural background influenced the way that you set up or kind of you went there and, set up Pakko?
Look, to answer this question, I think it's both cultural and upbringing, because the major influence in my life has always been my parents, like what Kathy was saying. They've fostered my mind with confidence. And my parents migrated to Australia in 1980s, and, they went through a really tough time, it's not easy to just escape from Vietnam and build a new life. They came here with nothing, no English knowledge, no support, no friends, and they had to start on their own pretty much from scratch. But, they battled it out, and, at a very young age, they, always talked to me about their struggles, the good and the bad, and the why behind what they did. So for me, it was So for me, they taught me a lot of persistence and love. And that's why, I've got this drive, and, my upbringing was because of their teachings, really.
Mm. In terms of with that drive and with your, wanting to set this up, when you started out setting up Pakko, what were some of the challenges that, doing, venturing into this industry with no manufacturing background or knowledge?
Well, yeah, that was one big component
No
of my
knowledge.
experience. I threw myself in the deep end, and I said, look, if my parents can leave their world behind to come to a place like Australia with, no English and no support, what's it for me? I grew up through a good educational system. I've got support, I've got friends, and why not give it a go? Like, they did, and look how they turned out. And, it won't be as bad if I failed, it will just be a learning experience for me.
Mm.
But, yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Look, I'm glad I did it, because I would have always sat there and wondered, what if I continue to import? What would it be like? I'm not changing anything. I'm not making an impact or a difference to anyone else. But with Pakko, I am now.
So it was like, what sort of packaging do you do besides the packaging for your parents' farm? Like, what sort of clients do you have?
We do a lot of pharmaceutical packaging, retail, e-commerce, pretty much anything to do with cardboard we can manufacture in our factory. Mm. All the work is done in our factory as well. So it's all within my control.
Now, there must have been some dark moments, because I know I have been on the other end at some of those dark moments, and there are moments where I felt so helpless, and I just, not knowing what to do or how to help you. Do you want to share some of those dark moments?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, one dark moment, I'll keep reflecting back to this, is the lack of experience in this sector. Manufacturing is not easy, and it's not for everyone, especially in packaging. I can't name another friend who has a packaging company. I can name many that has cafes and restaurants that I can, bounce ideas with, but in packaging, there isn't. So that for me was a dark moment of having to play the role of everything. I had to learn from the different paper types, the grades, the materials, HR, employing, sales, quoting, dispatching. I had to learn all that, and they all intertwined with each other simultaneously at the same time. So I had to just throw myself out there and just go, nah, learn it. Do it and do it right. But you know what? I failed. I failed along the way. I didn't get all the processes right. I upset customers. I upset my team. It's because I was trying to do everything all at once. And when you're running your own business, you have to, because when you start, you're not financially equipped to bring on board a team of experienced staff. You just can't afford to. So you try and save every dollar that you've got to try and put it into the business to try and grow it.
And what are some of the what would you consider those moments? Is that a crossroad for you to develop your business? Like those moments really shaped the way that you built your business moving forward?
Yes, absolutely. Look, it's if I didn't go through them, I wouldn't understand the business as much as I do now. Looking back at it now, it's probably one of the best things that could have happened, because it's given me the ability to grow a stronger foundation for the business, and it's brought me closer to the team that I have now.
And support. What about family support, friend support?
I got to admit, I've got over 1,000% of support from my family and friends. And, when I when I share with them what I wanted to do, they thought I was absolutely mad.
Yes.
And you know, and it's crazy. It's a crazy decision, you know. Like no one just lies there and goes, "Oh yeah, I'm going to open up a manufacturing company," especially when they don't have experience in it, you know. So, but I have friends and family who gave up their comfort in Sydney and Melbourne to move to Brisbane to be by my side to support me, you know. And I wouldn't be where I am today without them. Like I am so appreciative of their support, and I feel really blessed to have them in my life, and the Pakko team as well. Yeah.
Did you seek out any mentors or coaches to help with the whole manufacturing business side of things, or was it just winging it completely from start to finish? Or you haven't finished yet, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I like your word. I winged it a lot. I winged it a lot. I don't have a specific mentor or coach in my life, but everyone who I cross paths with, family, friends, clients, I share with them my experience, and they have always been able to give me their perspective views on how I should approach something through their experiences. And for that, you know, I've been able to see outside the box of, you know, what
pun intended.
Yeah, you know, like, that's it.
Outside the box, not inside the box.
Because
Cardboard box.
the fruit goes inside the box.
What were the lessons that you have learned in the last few years in setting up Pakko?
The biggest lesson I learned is you can't do it all on your own. You've got to speak up and ask for help. I know you die. You're like, yes, shaking your head.
Keep on telling her, reach out. And she reached out after she's made the freaking decision. It's always.
Look, don't be afraid of not knowing it all. I have played many roles in Pakko, and because I was afraid of not knowing things when the staff asked me a question, I didn't want to let them down. But what I realized was I was working 14 to 15-hour days. I was getting really burnt out, and I wasn't leading the company as I should be. You know, I was just, my head was stuck in all sorts of roles. I was trying to fix everything, and I couldn't do it. So yeah, my biggest lesson is speak up, ask for help, and don't be shy and don't be scared.
Yeah, there's so much power in that, isn't it? Because a lot of the time, most of us, we pretend that, not saying you, but a lot of people pretend that they know everything, but like people are not stupid. They can see right through that. They can see like the fear or whatever it is. And there's just so much power in just admitting, I don't have all the answers, but I'll find it for you.
That's right. Yeah. It's always, to me, it's so important to be, and I think it's the fear of the rejection. So if you say, can you help me? Someone's going to say, look, no, I can't. But I think overcoming that fear of saying it's okay, and I think if you reach out to your trusted network, friends, family or business and say, look, can you help me with this? There's bound to be, there's bound to be somebody who can come on board straight away to help you. What were some of your highlights?
Highlights. I have many highlights. In 2018, we were nominated as a finalist in the manufacturing sector for the Small Business Awards, and that was less than 1 year. So to be recognised in that field, it was a huge accomplishment for myself, for the team, and for all the work that we had put in. Yeah, that was one highlight. In 2019, I was named in the top 50 emerging leaders, being recognised in the print and packaging industry, which is something quite big because it's a male-dominating industry. So it's very hard to be recognised. It's hard to be respected. So yeah, I'm proud of that.
Well done.
And you're still pretty much the only woman of culturally and linguistic diverse background in that industry, would you say? Have you met another woman who's in the packaging or manufacturing industry?
In packaging, I haven't met anyone else that's Asian Australian. There are other females in this space, but more towards the print, not so much manufacturing or packaging.
Mm, mm, mm.
So what's the future for packaging now that I guess with COVID, like a lot of people were ordering stuff from China as an example, now they can't anymore. They have to rethink their supply chain. So there's obviously a big opportunity here in Australia. So what does the future look like for the packaging world?
It's growing. It's growing rapidly because people have now come to realization that they can't import. Well, not saying that they can't, but the lead time is a lot longer, and customs are a lot more stricter on what can come into the country. Our turnaround time is 8 to 10 working days from order versus 6 to 8 weeks. So,
Wow.
we've been able to streamline a lot of our processes and what we do. And I guess through my experience of importing, I understand what these small businesses need. They need the support, they need the fast turnaround, because you just never know. You might have a black sale Friday, but all your packaging's gone through the door. Well, you can't wait 6 to 8 weeks before your next lot comes in. So for that, we've been able to support them in that sense and saying, hey, 8 days, 10 days, 12 days, does that work for you? And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a nice question.
Yeah.
It's like, are you sure?
Sure.
Like it's almost like they're
Yeah.
shocked, isn't it?
But
it's a common response that I get, because for importers, they're so used to that, 2 months, 3 months lead time. And then once it lands, it's not like they can collect it straight away. It still sits at custom for a couple of days, and then all the unloading and stuff. And you know what? Sometimes they buy more than what they need, and as a small business, it ruins your cash flow. We don't have any minimum order quantity. You can buy as
really?
little as 50, you can buy as
But
100.
But then doesn't that leave you, if you don't have a minimum order, and it doesn't that leave you in a lurch, in a sense that if it's a small order, how do you justify the cost, the economy of scale? Everything is about
Yeah,
economy of scale.
yeah,
The larger the
absolutely.
quantity, it costs you less. Obviously, if it's being manufactured here, obviously you have to take into consideration wages, salaries, workers' compensation, super, and all those costs that you have, which that's probably why over the years people have gone over to places like China for manufacturing or importing, because it costs cheaper. So how are you set up to deal with that?
We have certain machines that we put the small runs on. We don't run it through the actual large machineries. Even though we kind of advise the client, look, there is no minimum order quantity, but there is certain machine setups. So if you buy 100 boxes, it might cost you $4. You buy 1,000, it now becomes 40 cents. Are you willing to weigh up that cost? And a lot of small business, they don't want to outlay so much into the unknown, especially in packaging, because their business is in product selling. It's not about the boxes. So if they do a trial run and they pay $4, it's not a huge outlay. It's not a huge cost to
It's
their
low risk for
business
them to start.
Yeah, it's not a high risk. So they understand that. And when their business rolls, they know that we were there to support them from day one. A lot of manufacturers don't do this because the margins are so tiny in manufacturing. But for us, it's about the future. It's about building that relationship. If you are there from the start, people know that you supported them, and in turn, when they grow, you grow with them.
So what's your advice for individuals and people of migrant background, especially who want to, who's starting out their own business and to start their own venture? What's your advice to them?
My advice would be, if you want it bad enough, give it a go. Regardless what the naysayers say, trust in yourself and have confidence. Like, persistence and drive will keep you going, but the heart will give you purpose. So don't ever give up, right? And you know, that's been my philosophy. Don't give up just because you don't have the experience, just because you don't know it all. Don't let that be the reason that's stopping you from moving forward.
That's great advice.
And have you dealt with, have you had many no's? And how do you convert those no's into yes?
Yes, I have had a lot of no's in my journey. The feeling is very hard to describe because it just feels like you've been beaten. You feel that you're not good enough, and sometimes, you know, I just want to give up. You know, it's that rejection. I don't deal well with rejection, and I'm sure not many people can deal with it. You know, and then, you know, I get into this state where I go, why did I get myself into this? Why am I doing this? You know, and it's my emotions are now taking over, which I guess it's normal. So yeah, I sit on it, and you know, I recoup, I change my approach, and I try again. You know, so I'm very persistent, especially when I want something. I keep going.
So despite the no's, you keep going.
Well, if you let the no stop you, that means that you pretty much put a barrier up for yourself, and it means that you've limited yourself to what could be and what the opportunities are. So, you know, how bad do you really want something? And when I want something, I want it bad. As you can see.
I remember very much this whole journey when Nina wanted the manufacturing business. Like, it's just like, I'm getting
Made it happen.
I'm going to make it happen. Are you sure? Yes, I'm going. There was nothing else. That's all that she was focused on. So where to next for you, Nina?
Continue on my journey, I guess. Grow Pakko. You know, we've been actually growing quite rapidly in the last 2 months, and that's due to a lot of the importers now coming back to the locals to buying it. So yeah, I really want to focus on that, as well as, you know, establishing our brand to be more of a home brand. So where people go, oh, look, you know, we need packaging, and I want them to think of Pakko in the forefront.
So audience out there, when you think of packaging, think of Pakko. Yeah. Look, thank you so much for giving us your time. And I know you're so busy. It's very hard to get you to sit down for half an hour, because I know I've spent it with you out there in the... Oh, do you want to take us for a little tour of the factory? And I want to see what the place looks like, because I remember what the place looked like.
Okay. Bird's eye?
Yes?
Bird's eye, okay. All right.
Yeah, a bird's
Hang
eye
on,
view.
let me take you out.
Virtual tour, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right, of
Everyone in
Pakko.
between.
So I'm just going to walk you guys outside, and this is upstairs of where I am.
Oh, I remember upstairs.
Wow, it's huge.
So we're on over 2.5 square meters.
Yep.
As you can see, that machine running, I don't know if you can see it. It's a red machine. Yeah, that's our gluer.
Okay.
So it's currently running at about 8,000 per hour for food sleeves.
Right.
So we do a lot of food sleeves.
Yep.
As well. So our shift has almost finished for the day.
Yep.
But that's the factory.
So you still just yes, I remember. My God, I remember stacking those boards. Those are patterns, aren't they, Nina?
Yes, they are all the different types of box styles.
Yep.
So every box style would require its own form, which makes the shape and size just like a cookie cutter. So
Bringing
you know how
back memories.
Cookie cutter, you can cut it out.
Yep.
It's the same thing for a box.
Well, it's like fashion design, right? Except you're designing boxes.
Boxes, that's right.
Boxes, exactly. So.
And you only the shift is what time of the day to what time in the afternoon? So it's not a 24-hour factory at the moment.
No. So we're running from 6:30 to 2:30 in the factory, and in the office is to 4 o'clock.
Right. Okay. And if the increase in demands, do you think that you'll extend that hours for the factory, the manufacturing on the floor there?
We'll probably extend our team member, and
Yep.
we'll have more, because at the moment we're not running 100% yet.
Yep.
But yes, eventually down the track, we would like to put on a afternoon shift.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, it's nice to see it.
Yeah, nice to see it. So look, thank you so much for your time, and good luck with everything. And, for people, if you're thinking packaging, think Pakko. Packaging Pakko.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And, and we'll keep in touch and see how you're going, how you're progressing, but really appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Nina.
guys. Thanks,
Okay.
Matthew.
Hang on
Bye.
there. Bye.
Bye.
That's it from us from DAWNcast. And if you like the story, please click the bell below and subscribe. I'm Dai Lee.
And I'm Kathy Ngo.
See you next time.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Oh, did she just leave?